A friend said to me they are giving, they are admitting or accepting youngsters to become mental nurses, training mental nurses at the Bellevue. And I went along with Desmond, who was a very bright guy who can pass all third year. Those of you who know Jamaica local first, second, and third. And when you pass third year, you can teach. Sometimes I don't remember.
Went for the interview.
Desmond was a very bright guy. And I didn't know anything about art. And I know just a blab I wrote on the paper. So when I got called for the job and you never get called, I said, something funny. Anyway, I went there and worked as a training nurse. Passed the first year. Second year was very difficult because I couldn't retain the stuff. I mean, I didn't have that kind of discipline. The group was bubbling at the time, and so I used to stop from work a lot. But then after I left, I heard that they were proud of having someone working at the Bellevue. And I shouldn't have left, but I know I wouldn't have been able to pass the second and the third year. Plus, if you're ill, Bellevue is not a place to go to. First song I recorded was a song called Crime Don't Pay, which wouldn't be true today. That wasn't played, that didn't make it to the radio. One morning I came early. The storeroom wasn't open yet, and I just started smoking herb. And I smoked a spliff and sat around the piano. I just had this burdensome feeling, and I just started to cry. I remember when Peter Tosh died, Mick Jagger said, what I can say about Peter Tosh, to watch a Peter Tosh concert is like watching the African nation coming at you. And that was years after, but I'd experienced that morning, like from my mother coming up. I really believed in repatriation and all that kind of thing. And I just, out of that, sadness came, I've got to go back home. What was wonderful, and so here was the difference, because we had 2 tracks, so you could put the music down and come any other time and put your vocal down. One Sunday night I was voicing, I've got to go back home. Studio was dark, and I sang the song down once. And by the time I got up, I said, I have got to. There were 2 voices in the back singing, I have got to. It was Holy Wailers and Dream. Vision. We were very competitive. Whenever a song needed a harmony, any artist would just come to the microphone and accompany him. I thought that was very kind. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to arrange harmonies that way. Herb smoking again. There was a room at Studio One that the writers were able to go, constantly give us foreign records to listen to see what you could come up with. And I went into that room, and there was Bob, Peter, and Bonnie. We were all smoking. I didn't remember to bring water, you know. Anyway, Bob was playing a guitar, Bonnie was playing a guitar, and Peter was playing a guitar, and they each took a verse of the song. I was spirited away to another place. I mean, like, I've never heard anything as beautiful in my life. I found out later that the song was an impression song written by Curtis Mayfield called 10 to 1. I'd never heard the Wailers that way before or after. I mean, it was just, when I started breaking apart, I was amazed that that band could have been so easily broken by money and fame. And Harry J invited me down to the studio. He said, have another rhythm of another foreign song. So man said, you want to come in? She said, yes. It was intended that I should have sung the song alone. The song was going to be Young, Lifted and Black. And I offered her a part, and Norris Ware of a group called the Jamaicans was there, and Judy Mowat was there. So we just did the harmony. Marcia did the lead, and I did the lead. 6 months after Reggae came, it was like January of 1970. I said, we don't have passport. I said, yes, why? He said, well, the song about I play big in England and I have up on the thing in top of the pops. That's how Marcia and myself got to England. And we toured the entire Europe with people like Elton Johns, Claudia Rogers, Gilbert O'Sullivan. And so we were in a big company. We still wasn't getting any money. After the tour, we realized when they check up the thing that the road manager, every time I put gas in the car, it was he who was putting gas in the car. Is we was paying for the hotel room. And was introducing us to fine wine, Louis St. George, and salmon. The only wine I knew about then was Bicarnis. Seriously. So we started drinking this fine French wine and I eat salmon and trout and all that. We were paying for it. So after the tour, Scotland, Northern England, Leeds, when we came back to London, started seeking out some royalties. They said, well, we give Reggae the royalties in Jamaica. We said, okay, come up to Jamaica. Where we lived, Jamaica, Reggae never had a studio. By the time we came back to Jamaica, we had a studio and a brand new Benz. So I said, Harry, the man himself. So a guy said to me, Sir Bob, you have a nice new car. I said, yes, but no Harry will drive it. When I asked Harry for money, Harry tell us, said, the people in England keep the money. So I never get the money, studio one. But I've hit now. I must say though, Federal Records, my first royalty check from games people played was £675. And I had the check in my pocket for 3 weeks. Because prior to that, I couldn't buy anything on the menu board in a restaurant. But I couldn't buy a light now, so I don't really feel hungry no more. But I want to change the check now because what? So I took the money and bought a car from a guy named Jerry Foster, a member of Kingston Cricket Club. Mustang. Wow. Mustang. Sally. Started driving around and dances and parties, Meritone and Soul Shack, you name it. And if I recognize that, and you people say I'm as great as you say I am, and my psyche is wounded, and I'm just a micro of the Jamaican society. So the macro Jamaican society is a society of wounded psyche. The national psyche is wounded. I became much more interested in. I started asking myself, there's a thing in the Bible that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. But I know this never said the leaders perish. So it occurred to me that people have to have the vision and you elect the leader who you trust to take you there. And I also found out that you can never build a nation on a plantation. All that is happening here, it can't happen. And all of this I learned through music. I went to Japan, the first Jamaican Sunsplash. First Sunsplash out of Jamaica was in the inaugural tour, 1985. I went to Moscow, went to Cuba. Music took me all these places. They had the Eastern Bloc had a festival for youth and students. And I was at the one in Cuba. And when they asked for the one for Moscow, Trevor Mano invited me and I went to Moscow. And Japan had a large fan base in Japan. They didn't have a computer. I never knew about computer then. So I couldn't keep up with all them fan letters and things. I have to be careful how I talk. But because of certain legalities. But it's difficult not to say that a lot of the writers and singers that started when I started If it weren't for shows, they wouldn't make any money. We really paved the way. That time I didn't realize that that's what we were doing. Being ambassadors for this country. And then, I never heard it before. I think I might have been the first person who publicly recognized Jamaica as a cultural superpower. All over the world, we are the reservoir from which all the songwriters and singers pull their vibrations. I mean, I go some country in the world and man tell me, say, "You come a yard." I say, "Which area you come? Jamaica." I go to Japan and hear the man in my chat, pat on where he say, "Where them? From the music." You see the amount of Japanese in Jamaica?
Bob Andy was just brilliant. I learned so much, and I think it's so important for us to hear these stories to show how the struggles that people have gone through and the triumphs of our artists. Big respects to Bob Andy.
My story, I was born and I wanted a child. Daddy never wanted me, mother barely tried. I hit the streets at a tender